Caitlyn's back. Tell Caitlin Clark Kent back in action.
What a game. The Indiana Fever snap the New York Liberty's undefeated streak.
Caitlin Clark just stunned the New York Liberty, one of the top contenders in the league.
Caitlin Clark, she is just absolutely undeniable, and her return to the Indiana Fever showed it once again. It felt like a jolt of energy to the WNBA.
With a performance that reminded everyone why she's the most talked about rookie in WNBA history. But just minutes after the game, a WNBA announcement flipped the basketball world on its head. And suddenly, the spotlight wasn't just on Clark's game. It was on the growing tension around her rise. And one name is at the center of that heat: Sheryl Swoopes. Let's break it all down.
It's really hard not to recognize the difference that she makes on the Indiana Fever, a team that was obviously struggling with playmaking, struggling with pacing, struggling with the things that make us want to watch. And she steps into that court, and in the first quarter, she made 3 threes in 38 seconds.
But instead of a league-wide celebration, the announcement sparked a firestorm. Just hours after the news broke, WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes posted a bold, cryptic message on social media: "Hype is a machine, respect is earned." She didn't mention any names, but she didn't have to. Fans instantly connected the dots. The timing was too sharp, the message too direct. It was clear the comment was aimed at Caitlin Clark. Within minutes, debate erupted online. Supporters rallied behind Clark's historic achievement, while critics argued that she hadn't earned the honor yet. The conversation quickly shifted from basketball to something bigger: respect, legacy, and the uncomfortable clash between past greatness and rising stardom.
3 logo bombs, by the way. 3 logo bombs in 38 seconds. This was the Caitlin Clark we all said, oh, she's different. She's sent from outer space. The Caitlin Clark that we saw today was the Caitlin Clark that we were accustomed to seeing. Oh, it feels good, folks. It feels good. It feels good to get the W. It feels great to see Caitlin Clark's shot falling, logo threes, bombing. Caitlin Clark.
As another standout rookie in this year's class, Reese has also been a magnet for headlines, both for her play and her unapologetic confidence. The media has spent months building a narrative around Clark versus Reese, dating back to their historic NCAA championship clash in 2023. That rivalry didn't fade in the pros. If anything, it's only intensified as both entered the WNBA with massive fan bases and sky-high expectations. So when Clark was officially named to the WNBA All-Star team, the spotlight immediately shifted to how Reese would respond. Her tweet came swiftly: "Keep working. Everything comes in due time." On the surface, it was a message about patience and persistence, the kind of thing athletes say to stay focused. But for many, the subtext spoke volumes. Reese didn't mention Caitlin by name. She didn't congratulate her. She didn't repost any league announcements. In fact, she stayed completely silent on Clark's milestone and in the world of sports, especially at this level. What's left unsaid can be just as powerful as what's said.
The most 35-5 games in the Players' 2 seasons. Candace Parker had 2. Caitlin Clark now has 3. Nobody else with more than 1. Caitlin Clark Kent is back in action. You can get the sense that she sat on the bench and she was ready to go. She sat on the bench, she sat on the sidelines, she watched this team play, and she was just counting her days until she made her return.
To some, Reese's response was just a reflection of her drive, the hunger of a competitor who's determined to carve out her own legacy. But to others, it was a clear sign of tension. A subtle, simmering resentment from a player who's putting up big numbers, drawing strong crowds, and yet still finds herself constantly compared to someone else. Despite her own impact on the court and growing fan base, Angel Reese continues to operate in the long shadow cast by Caitlin Clark's media presence, and that shadow might be getting harder to ignore. That single comment sent shockwaves through the fan base. Some fans immediately agreed, arguing that Caitlin Clark's impact on the league is impossible to ignore, from record-breaking viewership to packed arenas in every city she visits. They saw the comment as a defense of Clark's influence and a call for the WNBA to fully embrace its breakout star. But others took issue with it, calling it dismissive, even disrespectful to the women who have carried the league for years. Players like Angel Wilson, a two-time MVP and one of the most dominant forces in the WNBA today, have consistently delivered elite performances but have never received the same level of media attention or public hype. To them, it felt like Clark was being fast-tracked to stardom while others were still fighting for basic recognition. To some, Reese's response was just a reflection of her drive, the hunger of a competitor who's determined to carve out her own legacy. But to others, it was a clear sign of tension. A subtle, simmering resentment from a player who's putting up big numbers, drawing strong crowds, and yet still finds herself constantly compared to someone else. Despite her own impact on the court and growing fan base, Angel Reese continues to operate in the long shadow cast by Caitlin Clark's media presence, and that shadow might be getting harder to ignore. That single comment sent shockwaves through the fan base. Some fans immediately agreed, arguing that Caitlin Clark's impact on the league is impossible to ignore, from record-breaking viewership to packed arenas in every city she visits. They saw the comment as a defense of Clark's influence and a call for the WNBA to fully embrace its breakout star. But others took issue with it, calling it dismissive, even disrespectful to the women who have carried the league for years. Players like Angel Wilson, a two-time MVP and one of the most dominant forces in the WNBA today, have consistently delivered elite performances but have never received the same level of media attention or public hype. To them, it felt like Clark was being fast-tracked to stardom while others were still fighting for basic recognition. This is no longer just a story about a talented rookie having a strong debut season. It's about a cultural shift, one so significant that it's drawing in voices from outside the league. NBA stars, sports analysts, celebrities, and even politicians are now part of the conversation. Some are praising her shooting range, her vision, her composure. Others are critiquing the attention she's receiving. But the fact that they're talking at all, that's the point. Because for decades, women's basketball has struggled to break through the mainstream sports narrative. Despite its talent, history, and drama, the WNBA has often been treated as an afterthought by the national media. But now, every time Caitlin Clark steps on the floor, it's news. Every game is discussed. Every play is clipped, shared, and debated across social media. She's not just trending, she's driving the conversation. And with that spotlight comes questions. Tough ones. Uncomfortable ones. Why does it take a young white player from Iowa to get this level of attention when black superstars like Angel Wilson? Why are sponsorships, ad campaigns, and TV slots suddenly flooding in now? Why is Clark the face of a league built on the backs of women who've had to fight often in silence for every inch of visibility? And the WNBA finds itself at a crossroads. On one hand, Caitlin Clark is a gift, a once-in-a-generation star with the charisma and talent to draw millions of new eyes to the game. On the other, her rise has exposed old wounds, long-standing inequalities, and a feeling among some players that their work has gone unnoticed until now. So the league is faced with an impossible balancing act. How do you celebrate the future without disrespecting the past? How do you market your brightest new star without dimming the light of your veterans? And how do you maintain unity in a league that is now, more than ever, divided over what fairness really looks like? This is what Caitlin Clark represents. Not just a player, not just a rookie all-star, but a flashpoint, a symbol of change and the disruption that always follows it. She's sparked debates about visibility, value, and who gets to be the face of progress. She's challenging long-held assumptions about what women's sports can be and who gets to lead that evolution. And whether you love her, criticize her, or simply watch with curiosity. One thing is undeniable: Caitlin Clark has forced the world to finally pay attention. Before she ever stepped onto a WNBA court, she was already making history. Her college career broke records, shattered viewership numbers, and redefined what was possible for women's basketball on a national stage. And now, as a rookie, she's done something few thought possible. She's carried that momentum directly into the pros. She's not just selling out home games, she's turning opposing arenas into packed houses too. Cities that once struggled to draw WNBA crowds are now seeing ticket demand spike the moment her name hits the schedule. Jersey sales? Off the charts. Endorsements? Flooding in. National TV slots? She's leading the way, often getting more exposure than veteran MVPs. And now, the All-Star nod confirms it. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie, she's a face of the league. But with that rise comes resistance. Some of it loud, like Sheryl Swoopes' jabs at the attention Clark receives. Some of it subtle, like Angel Reese's carefully worded tweets. Behind it all lies a deeper tension. The feeling that Clark is being handed a spotlight others had to fight years to earn. But here's the hard truth the league is grappling with. Clark's stardom isn't manufactured, it's earned through performance, poise, and the ability to command a cultural moment. She's not just a scorer, she's a story. She's not just a playmaker, she's a symbol of change, of new eyes on the game, of a league finally cracking through the mainstream. And that's why this isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about identity, about legacy, about who gets to define the next chapter of women's sports. So call it what you want. Hype, marketing, overexposure, but ignore the noise and look at the numbers, the crowds, the impact. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the WNBA's future. She is the spark that's forcing everyone to rethink the present. She's no longer just a rookie trying to find her place. She is a movement, and whether the league embraces it or resists it, the game will never be the same. Is Sheryl Swoopes right? Does Clark need to earn her stripes first? Or is this jealousy in disguise from a legend not ready to pass the crown? And where does Angel Reese really stand in all this?